Good morning, students. So today we have to discuss electoral politics, grade 9th, political science chapter. Now on page 35. Okay, and in some books, the page can be 57. So please don't be confused. According to different editions, the page number varies. So I am on now page 35. So here the topic which I have to discuss is why elections. So the first topic, the subtopic which we have to see is assembly elections in Haryana. So the chapter starts with the assembly elections in Haryana. So the time is after the midnight. A newspaper report is given in your NCRT book on page number 35. If you can see the purple box. So the time is after the midnight, and an excited crowd sitting for the past 5 hours in a chunk of the town is waiting for its leader to come. So the organizers assured and reassured the crowd that he would be there any moment. So the crowd stands up whenever a passing vehicle comes the way, and it arouses the hopes that he has come. The leader is Mr. Devilal, the Chief Minister of the Haryana Sangharsh Samiti, who was uh, who was to address a meeting in Karnal. So this newspaper report is of your city only on Thursday night, and the 76-year-old leader is a busy man these days. His day starts at 8 a.m. and ends after 11 p.m. So he had already addressed 9 election meetings since morning, been constantly addressing public meetings for the past 23 months and preparing for this election. So this newspaper report, students, is about the state assembly election in Haryana in 1987. So the state had been ruled by Congress party led by government since 1982. So since 1982, Congress has been ruling the state. So the Chaudhry Devilal, then the opposition leader, he led the movement called Nyay Yudh, a struggle for the justice, and formed a new party, Lok Dal. Now his party joined other opposition parties to form a group or a front against the Congress in the election. So in the election campaign, Devilal said that if his party won the election, his government would waive the loans of the farmer and the small businessman. So now here, the parties, they contest the election, they formulate the policies, they form the government, they run the government, and before contesting the election, they form the manifesto also. Okay, what is a manifesto? The list in which all the policies which they are going to implement if they come to power is listed. Okay, so here also in his manifesto, Devilal said that if his party won the election, his government will give up, leave the loans of the farmers and the small businessmen. So he promised that this would be the first action of his government. So the people were unhappy with the existing government. With the Congress, they were very unhappy. So they were also attracted by Devilal's promise. So it was a huge promise, it was a big promise. So people got attracted. So when elections were held, they voted overwhelmingly. Okay, in a lot of amount, in a larger amount, they have voted in favor of Lokdal and its allies, its partners. So Lokdal and his partners, they won the 76 seats after the 90 seats in the state legislative assembly. Lokdal alone mustered 60 seats and thus had a clear majority in the assembly, and Congress could only win only 5 seats, simply because people were not happy with the Congress, so they will not cast their vote in favor of the Congress. Now, once the election results were announced, the sitting chief minister resigned. Who was the sitting chief minister at that time of the Congress? Bansilal. So, the newly elected members of the legislative assemblies, MLAs of the Lokdal, they choose Devilal as their leader. So, the governor invited Devilal to be the new chief minister of the state. 3 days after election results were declared, he became the chief minister. As soon as he became the chief minister, his government issued a government order waiving the outstanding loans of the small farmer, of the agricultural laborers and the small businessmen. So it was a huge step which was taken. The promise which he made before the election, he fulfilled that. So his party ruled the state for the 4 years, and the next elections were held in 1991. But this time again, his party did not win the popular support. The Congress again won the election and formed the government. So This was the discussion on the page 35. Now moving to the next page, that is 36. So students, on page 36 or 58 in some books. Now the next topic which we have to discuss is, why do we need elections? So elections, students, are essential for the representative democracy. So we are representative democracies. We are a diverse society, and it is not easy for the diverse society, for a larger society, to gather on each and every issue, to discuss the issue, to take the decision, because we don't have the time, we don't have the skill, we don't have the capability, we don't have the knowledge. So it is not easy for a larger society, for the people to gather in the larger society and discuss each and every issue and decide accordingly. It can be possible in a smaller society. And for one issue we can gather. For discussion, for protest on one issue we can gather, but not on each and every issue. It is not possible. So we are representative democracies, where we elect our representatives and they sit in the parliament and they decide the policies on our behalf. So elections are essential for the representative democracies. So let us try to imagine a democracy without election. A rule of the people is possible without any election, if all the people, they can sit together every day and take all the decision. So this is not possible. It is not possible for everyone to have the time and knowledge to take all the decision on all the matters. Therefore, in most democracies, people rule through their representatives. So elections are essential for the representative democracy. And elections help the people to choose their representatives. Through elections only we will be able to choose our representatives. Now let us think of a place where representatives are selected on the basis of age and experience, or a place where they are chosen on the basis of education or knowledge. So there could be some difficulty in deciding who is more experienced and knowledgeable. But let us say that people can solve these difficulties. Clearly, such a place does not require elections. But we can call this place a democracy? No. How do we find out if people like the representatives or not? How do we make sure that these representatives rule as per the wishes of the people? How to make sure that those who the people don't like do not remain their representatives? So this requires a mechanism, a system by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals, and they can change them if they wish to do so. So this mechanism is called elections. Therefore, elections are essential in our times for any representative democracy. So elections help the people to change the representatives if they don't work as per their wishes. Now, the next thing which we have to discuss is, what kind of choices does a voter make in elections? So, in an election, the voter can make many choices. They can choose who will make laws for them. So they will choose which political party will come to power and make the laws for them. They can choose who will form the government and take all the major policy decisions. So it is in the hand of the people only. We, the people, we give the power to the political parties to form the government, to run the government, to frame the policies on our behalf for our needs. So the democratic government has to be accountable government, a responsive government, and a legal government. In democracy, this is our expectation from a democratic government, that the government should be accountable, should be answerable to the people. They should be responsive. They should react quickly to the needs of the people. And it should be legitimate government, that is, according to the laws it should be made. So they can choose the party whose policy will guide the government and lawmaking. So we, the people only, the voters only, they can choose the party. If they are satisfied with the policies of any political party, then they will choose, they will cast their vote in their name. So this we have discussed, that why do we need elections and what kind of choices does a voter make in election. Now, what makes an election democratic? The next topic which we have to see. So elections can be held in many ways, students. All democratic countries, they hold the elections, but most non-democratic countries also hold some kind of elections. Like we have seen these things earlier also in the case of China. Okay, only one party system is there. So if the same party is coming to power again and again, can we say really the elections are democratic? So we discussed many examples of such countries where elections are held, but they can't really be called the democratic elections. So let us recall what we learned there and start with simple list of minimum conditions of a democratic elections. First, everyone should be able to choose. This means that everyone should have one vote and every vote should have equal value. So this is the first minimum conditions for elections to be democratic in any country. Everyone should have right to vote. Like in case of Saudi Arabia, we have seen earlier that women were not having the voting rights. So the second condition for elections to be democratic, there should be something to choose from. The parties and the candidates should be free to contest election and should offer some real choice to the voter. It means the meaningful choice should be there in front of the voters. We have only the same set of leaders. The voters lack meaningful choice, the meaningful leaders, the meaningful faces in the political arena. A youth should enter into the politics, those who want to serve the country with their honest policies, those who want to change the country's political structure, they should enter into the political arena. So, the parties and candidates should be free to contest elections and should offer some real choice to the voters, which is lacking. Then, the third, the choice should be offered at regular intervals. It is not that after 10-20 years the elections are conducted. No, it should be held regularly after the span of 5 years. And then, fourth, the candidate preferred by the people should get elected. So, transparency should be there in the elections. It is not that the people are giving vote to candidate A and candidate B got declared elected. So that will be the rigging, the malpractices, the fraud practices which we use in our elections. Then fifth, the election should be conducted in free and fair manner, where people can choose as they really wish. So no malpractices should be there, no fake voting, bogus voting, no booth capturing should be there. All the genuine names should be there in the electoral roll, in the voter list. So these conditions might look very simple and easy condition, but there are many countries where these are not fulfilled. So these looks to be a simple conditions, but it is very difficult to implement in the country, in the diverse countries. So the next topic which we have to see is it good to have a political competition? So students, elections are thus all about political competition. So this competition takes various forms. The most obvious form is the competition among political parties at the constituency level. What is a constituency, students? Voters in a geographical area who elect a representative to the legislative body. It can be parliament, it can be Vidhan Sabha, or it can be at the local level. The municipal corporations at the local level, the third tier of our decentralized system. So, at the constituency level, it takes the form of the competition among several candidates. So, several candidates are there. We have a multi-party system. If there is no competition, elections will become pointless. But it is good to have political competition. Clearly, an electoral competition has many demerits also. It creates a sense of disunity. If so many candidates are there, multiple party system we have, so it creates disunity in the community. Factionalism, groups will be formed in every locality. Political divisions will be there in the society, and political parties do create the political divisions in the society. You might see your neighborhood only. You might be the supporter of one party and your neighbor might be the supporter of other party. So you would have heard of people complaining of party politics. which is not good for the general public. Politics that relate to the political parties, that is party politics. So different political parties and leaders, they often blame each other. They play the dirty politics. Parties and candidates, they use dirty tricks to win the election. Some people say that this is the pressure to win the elections that does not allow sensible, realistic, long-term policies to be formulated. And some good people who really want to wish to serve the country do not enter into this political arena. They do not like the idea of being dragged into unhealthy competition. So, students, our constitution makers have given us competition in our electoral structure. Multi-party system we have. So many candidates are there. So our constitution makers were aware of these problems, yet they opted for free competition in the election as a way to select our future leaders. So they did so because this system works better in the long run. In an ideal world, all the political leaders know what is good for the people and they are motivated only by the desire to serve them. So it is a motivation. If so many candidates are there, then political leaders, they feel motivated that competition is there, and those who will serve the nation in a better way, those who will do the work for the welfare of the people, again they will be elected, again they will come to power. So this is a motivation, and political competition is not necessary in such an ideal world. But political leaders all over the world, they are motivated by the desire. They also have some motivation to advance their political careers. They want to remain in the power or get the power and position. They may wish to serve the people as well. So, the one way is to try and improve the knowledge and character of the political leaders. So this we can do. This improvement we can bring in our society. So we can set up such system where political leaders are rewarded for serving the people and they are punished for not doing so. Now who will decide this reward or punishment? Simply the people, we the people. So this is what electoral competition does. The regular electoral competition provides incentives, the motivations to the political parties. And leaders, they know that if they raise issues that people want to be raised, their popularity and chances of victory will increase in the next election. But if they fail to do so, then it will be very difficult for them to win the next elections. So now students, the page 38 or 16 some books. So if a political party is motivated only by desire to win a power, even then it will be forced to serve the people. This is like the market works. If the shopkeeper is only interested in his profit, then also he is forced to give the good services to the customer. Otherwise, the customer will not come to his shop again if he will not provide the good services to his customer. Take for example any restaurant. You go, you enjoy the food there. If you like the food, you will go again there. But if you will not be satisfied with the services and the food served is not of good quality, you will not go there. So similar is with the political parties. If they will not serve the people will not give their votes. If they will not frame the policies according to the needs of the people will not give them vote again. So political competition may cause divisions and some ugliness, immoral practices it will promote, but it finally helps to force political parties and leaders to serve the people. Good morning students. So same chapter we have to discuss of grade 9th, electoral politics of political science. And now on page 38, students, in some books this page is 60. So please don't be confused. So according to our PDF, page 38, the topic which we have to discuss is what is our system of elections. So students, from the above discussion, can we say that Indian elections are democratic? So earlier we have discussed about what makes our election democratic, what makes an election democratic, is it good to have political competition, and now we have to discuss what is our system of elections. So to answer this question, let us have a look at how elections are conducted in India. Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections are held regularly after 5 years, and after 5 years the term of all the elected representatives comes to an end. The Lok Sabha or the Vidhan Sabha stands dissolved after every 5 years. So elections are held in all the constituencies at the same time, or either on the same day or within few days. So constituencies, I have told you earlier also, that voters in a geographical area who elect a representative to legislative body, so that is a constituency. So in all the constituencies, so for Lok Sabha we have 543 constituencies plus 2 for the Anglo-Indian community. So the elections are held at the same time. So this is called general election. Sometimes elections is held only for one constituency to fill the vacancy caused by death or resignation of a member. So this is by election. So this is very important question, students, and it can be asked, differentiate between general elections and by elections. So you I have told you the elections, or you can say the Lok Sabha elections, these are the general elections. Okay, so the elections which are held in all the constituencies at the same time, so that is the general election. And if we see that uh, sometimes what happen, the vacancy is caused due to the death and resignation. So these are the special cases, and this is called by election. Okay, so I'm telling you again and again, this is very important question, that general election and by election. So the election conducted in all the constituencies at the same time, either on the same day or within a few days, to elect representative is general election. And such elections are held after every 5 years, and these elections are held to form the new government. And on the other hand, by elections, if the elected candidate dies while in the office or seats fall vacant due to any another reason like resignation, then fresh elections are held in that particular constituency alone. So such an election is called by election, and these elections can be held anytime according to the circumstances or in some special circumstances, and these are held to fill the vacant seat. So this is our 3 marks question, differentiation between general elections and by election. Now electoral constituencies, on the same page 38 we have another topic, electoral constituencies. So you have read about Haryana electing 90 MLAs, students. So you have wondered how they did that. So did every person in Haryana vote for all the 90 MLAs? So perhaps know that this is not the case. So we will cast the vote to the candidate, to the respective candidate of our constituencies only. Okay, it is not that we will cast the vote for the candidates of 543 constituencies in case of Lok Sabha elections. No, only for our constituency, the candidate of our constituency, we will cast the vote. So in our country we follow, students, area based system of representation. The country is divided into different area for the purpose of elections. So these are called electoral constituencies. So we have told you earlier also, 543 constituencies in Lok Sabha. It means 543 MPs will be there in the Lok Sabha for sure. Plus 2 Anglo-Indian community representing that community. So the voters who live in an area elect one representative. So I'm telling you, from one constituency, one representative will be elected, and if I talk about myself, I will give vote to only the candidate representing my constituency. Students, page 39 here of your PDF. Now, for Lok Sabha election, students, the country is divided into 543 constituencies. So this I have told you earlier also. The representative elected from each constituency is called MP, or Member of Parliament. And one of the feature of the democratic election is that every vote should have equal value. That is why our constitution requires that each constituency should have roughly equal population living within it. It is not that one constituency is very big and another constituency is very small. Similarly, each state is divided into a specific number of assembly constituencies. So similarly, for Vidhan Sabha elections also, for state legislative assembly elections also, we have assembly constituencies. In this case, elected representative is called MLA, member of Legislative Assembly. Okay, for general elections, we will be having MP. Okay, the representative elected from each constituencies in case of Lok Sabha election is our MP. And in case of our state legislative assembly election, we have elected representative is called member of legislative assembly or MLA. And each parliamentary constituency has within it several assembly constituencies. Okay, like on your page 39 and on your page 41. Okay, these state constituencies are given. Okay, like Haryana has 10 Lok Sabha constituencies. Okay, so Haryana is divided into 10 Lok Sabha constituencies. So it is given Lok Sabha constituencies on page 41 of your book, NCRT book, and in some books the page number is 63. So please keep this in mind. Okay, so the same principle applies to the third tier of our governance, that is the Panchayati Raj and municipal election. There also each village or the town or city is divided into several wards, and these are like constituencies only, and each ward elect one member of the village or the urban local body. And sometimes these constituencies are counted as seats also. Sometimes we don't use the word constituency, we see seat. So one seat means one constituency or one assembly seat. So when we say Lokdal won 60 seats in Haryana, it means the candidates of 6 Lokdal won in 60 assembly constituencies in the state. So we are talking about state legislative assembly elections, and thus Lokdal had 60 MLAs in the state assembly. So I hope MP and MLA is clear, the Lok Sabha elections are clear, and the state legislative assembly elections are also clear. Now on page 40, okay, of your PDF, or you can say in another book it might be page 62. So the topic which we have to discuss is reserved constituencies. So now students, our constitution entitles, or you can say our constitution gives a guarantee that every citizen to elect his or her representative and to be elected as a representative. So I told you we have political equality, right? So we have political equality, that we have universal adult franchise. Okay, once the citizen attains the age of 18 years, they are entitled to vote. So they have universal adult franchise, and we have right to contest election also. Okay, for that the age criteria is 25. So the constitution makers, however, were worried that in an open electoral competition, certain weaker sections may not be able to stand in a good position to get elected in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly. So that is true also. So they may not have the required resources. Okay, they are marginalized section of our society. They are not that much educated. They don't have that many resources. They don't have that many contacts to contest and win the elections against others. So those who are influential and resourceful, they may prevent them from winning the election. If that happens, our parliament and legislative assemblies would be deprived of, they will be lacking, and they will be deprived of the voice of the significant section of our population, that is the marginalized section of our society. So that would make our democracy less representative and less democratic. So if the marginalized section of the society is not able to represent, so what is the meaning of democracy here? So student, what is the meaning of democracy here? If the marginalized section is deprived of their rights, or if they are not having that right that they can contest election. So the makers of our constitution, they thought of a special system of reserved constituencies for the weaker section. So some constituencies are reserved for the people who belong to the scheduled caste. So some constituencies are reserved for them, and similarly for scheduled tribes also some constituencies are reserved. And in a scheduled caste reserved constituency, only someone who belongs to a scheduled caste can stand for the election. Similarly, only those belonging to a scheduled tribe can contest an election from a constituency reserved for scheduled tribe. And currently in the Lok Sabha, students, 84 seats are reserved for scheduled caste and 47 for the scheduled tribes. So this data is according to 2012 statistics. So this number is in proportion to their share in the total population. Thus, the reserved seats for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe do not take away any legitimate share from any other social group. So this system of reservation was extended later to other weaker sections at the district and the local level also. Like in many state seats in rural panchayati level and urban municipalities and corporation local bodies, they are now reserved for OBCs, that is other backward classes. However, the proportion of seats reserved varies from state to state. So, according to population, as all states they don't have uniform population, so this reservation of seats may vary. Similarly, one third of seats are reserved in the rural and urban area for women candidates. So, we have reservation for the women candidates also, but only at our local level bodies. Okay, so this was the reserved constituencies. Okay, so our constitution makers they have provided this provision for the marginalized section of the society so that they should not feel alienated, that nobody has taken care of their interest. So this is one of the methods of providing a power sharing, so that conflict should not arise between the majority and the minority communities, and there should not be any conflict. So harmony, peace should prevail in the country. So that's why the marginalized section, their interest is also kept in mind, and they are being provided the reserved constituencies. Now next is the voters list. So everything is ready now, students. We have now the constituencies are demarcated, so we know our constituencies. Now the next task in front of the election commission is to prepare the voters list. So once the constituencies are decided, demarcated, the next step is to decide who can and who cannot vote. So this decision cannot be left to anyone till the last day. It is not that on the last day only we will be deciding. No, in a democratic election, the list of those who are eligible, who are allowed to vote, is prepared much before the election is given to everyone. So this task, all these preparations, has been done long ago before the election day. So this list is officially called electoral roll and is commonly known as voters list. So officially this is called electoral roll and commonly it is known as voters list. So this is an important step, for it is linked to the first condition of a democratic election. Okay, so this is the first step. Everyone should get an equal opportunity to choose representatives, and then only they will get the equal opportunity if their name is there in the voters list and they are of 18 years of age. So, in practice, it means that everyone should have one vote and each vote should have equal value. No one should be denied the right to vote without the good reason. And different citizens, they differ from one another in many ways. Some are rich, some are poor, some are highly educated, some are not so educated or not educated at all. Some are kind, or they may not be kind, but all of them are human beings and they are citizens of our country. So that is why all of them deserve to have an equal say in decisions that affect them. So it is very much important to that they are also given the equality, the equal rights, so that they can also have equal say in the decisions that affect them. So in our country, all citizens aged 18 years and above can vote in an election. Every citizen has a right to vote regardless of the religion, gender. Okay, so everyone has this right to. So students, I was talking on page 40 about the voters list. Okay, so I was telling you that all citizens age 18 years and above, they can vote in the election regardless of their gender, religion, their caste, their educational status, their whether they are rich, whether they are poor. So they are entitled to vote as the citizens of this country. And on page 41, students, on page 41, the Lok Sabha constituency, the map of India is given and the Lok Sabha constituencies are given. And if we talk about Haryana, it has 10 this Lok Sabha constituencies. Okay, so this was regarding Haryana, and in this Haryana, it has 10 Lok Sabha constituency, including two reserved constituencies, one of Ambala and one of Sirsa. So these are two reserved constituencies. So this was on page 41, this information. You can go through the map. Okay, the different it can be asked in 1 mark. Okay, how many Lok Sabha constituencies UP has? So Uttar Pradesh clearly shows 80. Okay, it might differ, see, the data may differ. Okay, so the UP is having the highest constituencies. The data can vary, I am saying again and again. So the same chapter, students, now electoral politics, grade ninth, now on page 42, okay, of your PDF, or in some books it can be 64 number also, because certain pages are deleted, so it can be 42, and in other books it can be 64. So I was telling you about the right to vote, that once the citizen attain the age of 18, nobody can be denied to right to vote, but in certain rare situation it can be possible that if any person, some criminal is there, some person with the unsound mind is there, so they can be denied the right to vote, but only in the rare circumstances, rare situation. So it is responsibility of the government to get the names of all the eligible voters on the voters list. So it is the responsibility of the government. As new persons attain the voting age, names are to be added in the voter list. Name of the those who have moved out of some place or shifted or who are dead, it has to be deleted. Okay, so updation is required, addition and deletion is required. So this work has to be done by the government. A complete revision of the list takes place every 5 years. So this is done to ensure that it remains up to date. Okay, so additions and deletions has to be done. This is very important. So now in the last few years, students, a new system of EPIC, election photo identity card, has been introduced. So the government has tried to give this card to every person on the voters list. So the voters are required to carry this card when they are going out for the voting process, so that no one can vote for someone else. So this is to stop the fake voting, the bogus voting. But the card is not yet compulsory for voting, because it has not been issued to all, so it is not yet made compulsory for voting. Voters can show other identity also, like their driving license, or they have any other proof, ration card and all, Aadhaar card, so it can be used for the voting process. Okay, on the same page, students, the 42, we have to discuss now the nomination of the candidate. So now the process of selecting a candidate we have to see. So our voter list is also prepared now. So now we have to see the process of selecting a candidate. So we noted above that in a democratic election, people should have a real choice. So this happens only when there are almost no restrictions on anyone to contest an election. So this is what our system provides. Anyone who can be a voter can also be a candidate in the election. The only difference is that in order to be candidate, the minimum age is 25 years, while in case of being a voter, the age is 18 years. So there are some other restrictions on criminals, but these apply in very extreme cases. And political parties, they nominate their candidate who get the party symbol and support, and party nomination is called party tickets. And everyone who wishes to contest an election has to fill the nomination form, and they have to give some security deposit also. And recently a new system of declaration has been introduced on directions of the Supreme Court. So election commission has to implement this system. So this is in order to reduce the influence of money and muscle power in an election. So every candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full details of, so they have to submit affidavit which gives the full details of serious criminal cases pending against them. So this record they have to submit detail of the assets and liabilities, uh, whatever amount of property they have, the cash, gold, jewelry, lands, houses, vehicles. So all they have to declare this, liabilities, loans on their name and their families. So whatever details of assets and liabilities are there, they have to declare their educational qualifications. So that is also must now. They have to declare how much they are educated. So this information has to be made public now. So this provides an opportunity for the voters to make their decision on the basis of information provided by the candidates. So it provides insight into the candidates, their information, their family background. So voter can easily assess the situation now. Now one more thing on page 42, the educational qualifications for the candidate. Now, sometimes the question can arise in your mind, students, why there is no educational qualification for the ministers, for the leaders who hold such an important position, when some kind of educational qualification is needed for any job you see in your country. So, educational qualifications are not relevant to all kind of jobs. Like the relevant qualification for selection to the Indian cricket team is not the attainment of educational degree, how much you are qualified, but here, the criteria is ability to play cricket well. Similarly, the relevant qualification for being an MP and MLA is ability to understand people's concerns, their problems. how you represent their interest. So whether they can do so or not is examined by lack of the examiner, the voters, after every 5 years. So if an education was relevant criteria, it should be left to the people to decide how much importance they give to educational qualification. And students in our country putting an educational qualification would go against the spirit of a democracy. We say we have given political equality, so we are politically equal. So if we put this qualification criteria, then it would mean depriving a majority of the country's citizens the right to contest election. If, for example, a graduate degree like B or BCom or BSc was made compulsory for the candidates, more than 90% of the citizens will become ineligible to contest the election. So directly 90% of people are outside the race to contest the election. So this will be against the spirit of our democracy. So that's why no educational qualification is there for being MP and MLA.